Hi, my name is Bill Bradley. I'm an extreme endurance athlete, and this is my video newsletter. The topic of today's newsletter is Coddler versus Ass Kicker. Have you ever need to pick a team or a person to support you in a race or an event? What type of personality do you look for? Do you look for a coddler? Somebody who's going to feel sorry for you, who's going to constantly ask you if you're okay, who's going to maybe suggest that maybe it's not your day and maybe you need to drop out because you're not feeling well? Or do you pick an ass kicker, a no excuses type of person on your crew, who if you're breathing and you're barely moving, they're going to put their foot on your back and push you out the door and keep you going? Well, I bet you can't guess what type of person I pick. I sure as heck can't afford to pick a coddler. Anybody on my crew they're ass kickers. They gotta be. The stuff I go through, it's so for multiple days and just the sheer pain I go through and stuff. They have to be people who are going to put their foot on my back and push me out the door no matter what, even if it's into a blizzard and minus 41 degrees. I need that type of person on my team. That's the only type. So if you're a coddler, you need not apply. But that's the same with you. So if you're doing your marathon, you really don't want somebody constantly asking you every time you see them at one of the aid stations or the checkpoints there, on the road where you're feeding, and you don't want them to say, "Are you okay? Are you all right? How's your feed? Is this, You don't want that. You just want somebody who's just going to encourage you and tell you to keep moving. If you're breathing, keep moving. Anyway, I want to give you an example. So when I did this 6-hour qualifying swim for the English Channel, I shared it on a previous video, but I went out and I have to swim in San Francisco Bay for 6 hours nonstop, no wetsuit, and no brakes, and you can't touch the boat or the Zodiac or anything, or you're disqualified. So this is, it's a qualifying swim for the English Channel. So I had two guys on my crew who I highly respect, who were on the Zodiac, Bob and Patty. And let me give you a couple examples of these guys' personality who I take on my crew. So when I was out there I started at 2 hours, and as I shared in my other video, everything pretty much went wrong that day. I started getting I was cold after 2 hours. I was shivering at each feed break. I was bonked in the water after 2 hours. And what happens when you bonk in the water compared to on land is you freeze. Because it's a no wetsuit, no stop swim in San Francisco Bay, and the temperature was 57, 58 degrees. And so after about 4 hours, Bob looks at me and he goes, on a feed, and he goes, "Bill, how you feeling?" And I knew, I never say anything. I already know from my own subconscious, the only thing I can say is, "Great!" And I knew, especially with Bob, I go, there's no way I'm going to say anything but great. So of course, I'm shivering like this, and he goes, "How you doing, Bill?" I go, "Great!" He goes, "Well, your eyes look like they're sniveling. You got snivel in your eyes." Even Bob and I had to laugh at that one. I go, "Dang it," I started swimming. I thought Bob's right. My eyes probably are sniveling. Anyway, so then I swam for another couple hours. And like I said, I'm just getting weaker and weaker. It's taking everything I can. I mean, I'm not getting enough fuel in me. my stomach's upset. I had to throw up. It was just one of those days. Nothing was working right. And so anyway, so then our plan was at the 4-hour mark, I would turn into Aquatic Park, and that's where our club is at. And there's it's kind of about almost a 1 mile circle you can do in there. And so after 4 hours, I'd go in there and I'd maybe do 3 laps, and it's semi-protected in there. I mean, that's how we would just finish off the swim. And so that was kind of our plan. Well, I was completely on the other side of the bay with a really strong tide, a flood tide coming inwards, right? So coming into the bay and pushing me. So as I was swimming across the bay to try to get to the opening, we have 2 openings into Aquatic Park, one here and then one down this way a little way. I missed the first opening. And then I barely made it into the second opening, and I went, like I said, I finished off the last 2 hours in the cove, which is semi-protected. You still get some weather in there for sure. But it was, but I finished that off, and it was, it was tough. It was like I shared before, it was like every 5 minutes feels like an hour. I mean, I was so bonked and so weak. And then I remember after I finished, Patty goes, you know, Bill, I thought you were going to miss those, you know, turning into the cove. He says, you barely made that second, you know, the second entry, which is called the Creekers. You barely made it in there. And I said, yeah, I know. I said, well, what's, you know, I would have just swam for 2 hours, then with the current, you know, down and further into the bay, and then I would have gotten the Zodiac with you guys, and you could have took me back to the club. And he goes, what? You think we're going to let you in the Zodiac? There's no way. You were swimming back. I go, you got to be kidding me, man. I was so weak, it was unbelievable. But you know what? That's why he's on my crew. But thank God I made that turn. That would have been horrible. Anyway, when you're picking your crew, I highly recommend, don't pick the Coddler. Pick the ass kicker. Anyway, if you're interested, you can follow me on Facebook or Twitter. If you have a comment for me, please put it in the comment, or a question, put it in the YouTube comment section. I will get back to you. If you like this video, give me the thumbs up. Maybe 2 thumbs up. And also, if you could subscribe to my YouTube account if you like this. And if you're interested in getting information on me, talking to your team, your group, your company, your organization, your school, email me at epicbillbradley@gmail.com. Thank you very much.